All right, hello and welcome to today's verdict, the interactive show that gives you your legal rights and options. I'm your host and trial attorney, David Lesch. Well, today's verdict is always encouraging you to stay connected. Make sure to tweet me at David Lesch and hashtag Ask Today's Verdict if you have a question. And check us out at bronxnet.tv. 13th Forward is a legislative coalition of advocates that is working toward the passage of two bills, the No Slavery in New York Act and the Fairness and Opportunity for Incarcerated Workers Act. We spoke to campaign leader Wilfredo Laracuente. Check it out. How you doing today, Wilfredo?
I'm doing good today, sir.
All right, so a very interesting topic that we're discussing today. It's basically prison really as almost as a form of slavery. Am I correct?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, tell me a little bit about your organization.
Okay, my name is Wilfredo Laracuente, and I represent the 13th Forward. And the 13th Forward is a movement that is looking to stop government and New York State, from being able to circumvent the 13th Amendment. Slavery is going on right now on March 1st, 2023 in New York State as it is. The Department of Corrections, in concert with Coalcraft Industries, is able to circumvent the 13th Amendment, and they're able to go ahead and force men into labor for pennies on the dollar.
Now, who is Coalcraft Industries?
Coalcraft Industries is a conglomerate that's in concert with DOCS that is allowed to go into various correctional facilities and create items. So, for example, the hand sanitizer during the pandemic, a lot of the license plates that are currently being used, the soap, the desks that are being used by the Department of Education to have the children sit down, that are all made by men and women that are inside correctional facilities, and they get paid between 15 cents and 45 cents an hour.
And how would you change this?
Well, I would like to change it by being able to force Coalcraft Industries to, at least at the minimum, being able to use the wages of $7.25 an hour. But me personally, I'm a little more outraged that a lot of SUNY and CUNY schools, as well as Department of Education, who say they are progressive and they want to end mass incarceration, they buy the particular desk and the items that they need for their particular universities and schools from Coalcraft Industries, so they are silently complicit with slavery.
So it's not that you don't want the inmates to do the type of work, it's that you want to make sure they're compensated fairly for the work. Am I correct?
They need to be adequately compensated, and also they need to look at the conditions. So someone outside that is currently would have different regulations. There will be a lot of OSHA training. There will be a lot of things that will be regulated if they were creating these particular products. And nothing is regulated by DOCS, and nothing is regulated, or Coalcraft is now forced to regulate. So they're able to exchange on the New York Stock Exchange. They're able to trade back and forth and have their company become public. And they don't have to worry about the laws that other conglomerates or other companies would have to, that exchanges on the stock exchange.
Well, give me an example of some of those things that they're able to not have to comply with that other corporations would have to.
Okay, so my thing is, there's no set wage. Somewhere there's a minimum wage. Somewhere you have to go by a particular standard of a particular industry in order to pay someone. Not Coalcraft. That's why Coalcraft doesn't worry about its overhead or doesn't worry about its bottom line. They can sell the amount of chairs that are made, or the amount of desks, or the amount of license plates at whatever amount they want to, because they know they can cut the cost and they can price gouge against any competition, because they're not paying anything for labor. The labor is free. That's how, with the 13th Amendment, with the prison labor, they are circumventing the 13th Amendment, and it is slavery.
Now, prison labor has gone back centuries in this country. Basically, prisoners have been asked to either work on railroads or work on the in different mines, or in many places, in any states, they've been asked to work for small amounts of money, and that's almost really I don't know. Is that a form of punishment, or do you think it's just the way we want them to give back to society as a result of what the crime they've committed?
Okay, so a little bit of context. After the Emancipation Proclamation, what happened with the Jim Crow laws, when they came into effect, they started to go ahead and lock people up on the sides of train tracks for vagrancy and petty crimes. And when they realized they had them housed and they were now free labor, they decided to utilize them in various different instances from the beginning of history all the way up until now. So this is something that has gone unchecked for decades. And now all of a sudden it's time to bring awareness. And New York is supposed to be one of these most progressive states. There are other states, as in Alabama or Tennessee, that have gone ahead and closed this loophole to make sure that prison cannot go ahead and use this and make it punitive, because you talked about punishment. So you do the crime, and for a lot of people that believe in punitive punishment, you do the time. Well, if you don't work in these particular programs, there's a lot of disciplinary sanctions and you face retaliation. So it seems that you're being punished all over again for the same exact crime.
So what are you doing to change the system in New York State?
Okay, well, first thing we have to do is have to bring awareness. A lot of people don't understand what's going on. Everyone is really concerned with the economies that are going on in New York City and New York State and their own primary domiciles. But these people, you know, the people that are incarcerated, and also I like to make it's also the women as well. If there is anyone that is talking to someone from the Department of Motor Vehicles that is trying to get something straightened out with their license, they're talking to someone that's housed in the Department of Corrections at a female correctional facility from Albion or from Bedford. So here we are now, the Department of Corrections and Coldcraft and concert are circumventing the 13th Amendment for free customer service. For customer service at pennies on a dollar, and it needs to be stopped. And these people need to be adequately compensated, and there needs to be some type of regulatory or regulations or some type of union in place so they'd be able to go ahead and receive adequate salary.
Are the inmates allowed to form any kind of union, or no?
Not at all. I'm directly impacted by the criminal justice system. I worked for Coldcraft for 8 years. I just returned home after doing 20 years. About 18 months ago, no, there is no way you can unionize, and there's no way you can go ahead and formulate anything.
Do the inmates ever get together and just try and say, well, all of us together shouldn't work, or do they ever have any kind of collective say, or no?
If that happens, then there's disciplinary sanctions that come in, jails get shut down, then all of a sudden they want to separate that type of behavior, and they'll bring in other people that are going to do jobs at pennies on the dollar.
Has anyone reached out to either New York State, whether that's the governor's office or anyone else, about putting forth some kind of legislation that would change the mandatory work that has to be done by the inmates?
Well, the 13th
it's not really
forward,
mandatory, but if you don't do it, you say you get punished.
The 13th forward has put in 2 pieces of legislation. The first being to go ahead and close up the loophole of them being able to use prison labor as free slave labor. And also there is another bill that's on the floor on behalf of the 13th forward that organizations like Fortune Society and other non-profit and prison advocacy groups that got behind, where they want to talk about creating this particular, I want to say also it's like an unemployment office inside facilities where they're able to go ahead and charge or be able to give an adequate wage for people that are inside, and be able to have these commissions and be able to have these think tanks to go ahead and provide adequate skills. Because the reality is, and the data is clear, everyone is going to come home. But if you don't go ahead and provide the men and women with the particular skills they need to assimilate into society effortlessly and assimilate back into the workforce, then what you're going to do is you're just going to pass off that particular person to another part of the institution that's going to have to be government institution that's going to be able to support them upon their release.
All right, well, Wilfredo Laracuente, I'm 13 Forward. I want to thank you very much for being here. You shed some light on a very interesting topic, and maybe you come back in a couple of months and let us know what's going on.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
It's our pleasure. All right, stay with us. Today's Verdict has so much more right after this.